Welcome, everyone, to this third episode of these free webinars that we're offering to our customer base just to help people get more use out of Cyberquery. So, for those of you that have been waiting in the kind of the reception room, you saw this kind of trivia question about asking about Active Help. So, we're focusing on Active Help today. And a lot of people don't even know you can customize it. So, we're going to show you how to do all that. But we want to just pose a couple questions. So active help by default comes with every uh, input parameter, and the default active help will show up to a total of 1,000 options. So if you prompt a user for item numbers, it's going to show 1,000 by default. But John's going to show you today how you can increase that number and search and do all kinds of nice things with active help. So with that being said, let's get started. My name's Jim Mon. I'm hosting this webinar, but John Day, who a lot of you might know from the training classes or the support line or consulting, is going to be doing the bulk of the demonstration of Active Help today. Just a little bit of background. John's been with Cyber Science 20 plus years now. I've had the pleasure of working with John even before that. So John and I worked at another company previously. So I know John's a great trainer, great consultant, and a good friend as well. So he'll be taking care of that. We've also got other resources if we need them, but I think the ones you'll be hearing from mostly are going to be John and myself. So what we want to do again is just start a little bit of review. So the review, the whole idea of these webinars is to help you get more value out of Cyberquery, teach you some advanced skills, and also let you ask questions. So as we go through the session, if you have a question, please submit it. We'll try to answer as many questions as we can during the session, or get back to you with answers if it's too complex to handle here. We also, at the end of the session, are going to provide a survey that'll let you kind of pick and choose and give your input on what the next webinars should be about. We've got a lot of great topics out there, including how to build all kinds of job boards or vendor scorecards or things like that. So feel free and please do fill out that survey. And then finally, the plan is to hold one of these webinars every month, third Wednesday of each month at 2:00 Eastern time. So if you don't see an invitation as we kind of get close to that date, reach out to me and say, "Hey, Jim, where's my invitation for the upcoming webinar?" So each month. Okay, what we're going to be talking about today is active help. And again, a lot of people don't know that you can customize and really fancy up your report. So John's going to talk about active help, everything from the default active help that you're probably used to seeing, all the way to semi-custom or customized searches that you can set up within active help. We'll talk about future sessions and kind of what we want those sessions to be. And we're going to answer questions along the way. So with that brief introduction, I'm going to turn the time over to John, and he's going to pick up with active help and take it from there. So John, it's all yours.
Thanks, Jim. All right. So a lot of people don't even know the term active help. Active help is, when it's a string field, you'll see, or even a number field, you'll see that drop-down arrow that's highlighted there next to the word all. That basically means you could click that arrow and you could see up to 1,000 different choices that you could do. Now, this is a multi-value parameter. You can have regular parameters or multi-value parameters. Regular parameters only have one selection possible, but multi-value, you can do as many as you like. So basically, a customer can either type in a number or they can drop down that arrow, and that's all included in active help. However, you can customize your active help. Basically, when you're talking about a parameter, you're searching on a single field, but that doesn't mean you can't display multiple fields like we're seeing here. We've got the name and address and city, state, and phone. You can put anything you like in it. And this just allows users to have additional information that, you know, they may need. You can fully customize the active help such that it's searchable. Currently, if you tried to search, prior to doing the customizations, you would only be able to search on like customer number 4 or 7, but maybe you need to filter this list to where it only shows the records that have um, CA in them, whether it be the state code or somewhere else in that record. And it'll filter those entries. So if you did have 1,000 entries and there was an intelligent way of filtering them up in the filter prefix that you see here, right up here, then um, it would make filtering using that input parameter better. You can type in your criteria, and then you can also provide additional information for runtime users like that. And anytime you have that filter prefix, you can search on any of these columns. Okay, I'm going to do a quick demonstration. This won't be difficult. There's, a few things you have to remember in terms of, you know, I would imagine there's a significant number of you that have never heard of something called an HCF. That's Harvey Charles Frank, an HCF file. We'll be using one of those. So if you haven't heard of it, I'll explain it as we go. All right. So I have just a simple report here. This one happens to be a sum, but it could really be any kind of report. And you'll notice in the record selection, it has these input parameters. So we have where the custom, so I'm selecting on cust_mass custom, and it's equal to an input parameter called input customer. And then cust_seq is input sequence, and then cust_mass site_ref is input site. So these bottom two, I haven't modified at all. I have modified the input customer, but I want to just show you what the modifications look like. Okay, so if I'm going to pull this bottom one down first, just so you can see it. If you pull this down, you'll just see, what you would expect, the list, a single character, a single word list or phrase, whatever. Um, and that's what you're used to. Now, here's customer sequence. The default is 0 through 10. So you can see that I could select whatever I wanted, and it'll appear up here. So that's just kind of the normal parameters. Nothing is customized there. Here's one that is customized. So even though I'm prompting for customer number, I'm able to show the sequence, the name of the business, the address, the state, the city, state, and zip code, as well as the site. So, if I wanted these, I could do that. And notice, even though I've selected all of them, remember, this isn't the sequence one. I really only have to select one of them because the next input parameter would handle the sequence. But I could click another one here. So you'll notice 1 and 4 has been selected. You could filter this and just say, well, I want to see everything that's in Utah. And you'll see that we've got Utah here. Let's see if we've got any more. Yeah, there's another one. If you wanted to search on, say, like this coordinated bicycles, you could search for coordinated. There you go. And then you'd be able to select which one you wanted to report on. And you'll notice you've got it represented for all 3 different site refs. So I'll just do that. In this one, I would really only need to select one of them, just enough to get the one there. It's not really selecting the others because all this is selecting is the customer number. Okay. Um, and then you would run it. And in this case, I selected 1 and 4 for the site ref of London. Okay. So how did we do those customizations? Well, the first step is you can run um, a a command line command. You can issue it, and it's a utility called CQ build active. It means Cyberquery build active help is what that is. It because that input parameter, when you see that list drop down, when you click on the arrow, if it's a date field, you would click on the calendar icon rather than the arrow icon. Those are all active help. Um, but those are temporary queries that get built. It's actually a query that has that drop-down list. It's a Cyberquery report. But once it's done, it goes away. Well, if you want to persist those queries, you can build them and make them persist by using this command. So this means go to the command line. I'm in a macro right here. And then CQ build active is the command that you're going to issue. Dash force, it's you can look that up in online documents, but basically if something's not quite right, it'll force it anyway. Um, and then the name of the query. This is the easiest way. Now there's another longer version where you prompt for each parameter, and those can get quite long, but this is the easiest way. This will make queries for every single one of the input parameters in that query. And then I'll show you a little trick. So let's see what one of those input parameters looks like. And I'm going to show you one that hasn't been modified, and then I'm going to show you one that has. Okay, threw me right into language there because I was in a macro. So I will select my customer. Sorry, this Zoom meeting is making my screen pretty large. Okay. Oh, hang on. Let me get back into Visual Editor so I don't confuse people. There we go. Okay, so I'll just select one of these for now. And then I'll come down here to Site. So this is the one that's not been modified. So I want to just show you what these look like. So this is the input site help. Notice and I'm going to go between language and visual right now, but it's not complicated. It's just input customer equals quote quote cust addermast custom equals input customer, and then site ref equal looks like I'm going to say that's free text. I'm not sure about those. Let me look here. Oh, begins with. So it begins with input site. That's it. It's got the site ref here. Now remember, this is the one just for the parameter for the input site. It was called input site was the parameter name. Now I want to show you one that's been customized. So if I open up, so the name of the query was sample, and the name of the input parameter was input customer. If you add a dot help dot eq after that, you basically have the name of an input parameter assigned as it appears in the sample query. Now, I want to bring up something. Notice all of this here. This was all customized where I went in and I said, okay, I'm going to have where the custom contains input customer. Notice I've got this parameter up here, and then the name contains the input. I mean, the input customer. Remember that input customer, we were making it such that it could see all of the fields. And so I'm checking custom, add name, address one, city, state, and zip. Um, so that's just a modification of the record selection. And then I'm adding those fields down here in the list area. These are lists. And I noticed I even put in a top of page to make my headings better. Now, I'll tell you a little trick though. If you wanted to use this input customer help in other queries, where you had a parameter called input customer help, you can save this without the sample dash in front of it. So what you would get would be this input customer. There it is. Very same thing. Very same query that you saw in the one with the name. But now this can be used on any job that has input customer as a parameter. It's just kind of a freelance version of the one we just saw earlier. So if you want to, and you can open these and run them. So if I were to run this one and I selected one and chose run, there is what I would see. So this is a really good way of making these up ahead of time. So you might have one for input site, input customer, input state code, or whatever you needed, whatever a real common input parameter would be for you. You can build out a bunch of them and make them available. Perhaps you could store them in the web reports folder so that they would be available from the Launchpad, or just you can publish them. Now, there is one other piece here that we need, and that's the ability to filter. And I'm going to go to a macro that I have. And all this is a command line command that you'll issue. So this means go to the command line and run the utility CQ build active. This stands for Cyberquery, and then build active builds the active help queries. So you can force Cyberquery to build the active help queries for a particular query. Now, I haven't tried doing this without the query. Typically, what I'll do is I'll build the queries and then I'll remove the I would remove the sample dash from the front of them, or whatever the query name was. And I get a collection of those built so that every time I need an input parameter that's nice and pretty and built out and everything, this will do that for me. Okay, so this there's one other thing, and that's called an HCF file. HCF files it's an acronym within an acronym. So the H stands for HTML, and then the CF stands for control file. So it controls how the HTML is built, and I'll show you a picture of it. And you can get a lot of different things done. This is just one of the things you can do with an HCF file. Let me make this a little smaller. Now, the HCF file has to be the same name as the query. So if your query was named sample, then the HCF has to be named sample. And it's just a text file. All it is, so you would go into File, New Text File, and you would build it. Now, if you were using one of the older versions, you could use a query, but go into language editor and type this in and save it as .hcf. That older versions allow you to do that and have for years. So this means this is what allows you to have client-side filtering. So where you could filter on like the name of the company or the state or whatever inside that input parameter. And that's about it. Now, if you need to find out more active help or excuse me, more HCF information, go to Help Online Documentation. There's a lot of little nuanced HCF behaviors, like that that error that you always get when you divide by 0 or invalid division detected or something like that because it's trying to divide a header line, do division on a header line. There are things that can suppress those kinds of warnings, just saying, division by 0 detected. So very easy. If you have any questions, by all means, contact us. Our support department knows all about these HCF files and active help. So I think that is probably all we need to say about this. Does anyone have any questions?
Hey, John, this is Jim.
Mhm.
We've got a couple questions have come in.
Okay.
And one is if the report is written against domain A, do I need to use domain A for my active help?
Um,
And kind of by that, if I'm writing a sales report and I'm looking at my sales order lines
no, you do not.
for active help, if I'm looking for a customer, do I still
Yeah,
need to use sales order lines?
no, you don't. You could have a hard-coded valid line in there that says what that parameter should have. You could write an input parameter against what the table called dummy, which is completely empty and it has no data in it. So no, you can use anything you like.
Okay. Here's the second question. In your example, you had three input fields, and
Mhm.
site was the last input field. If we made site the first input field, would that restrict or limit the number of customers we could see? So if they pick site
Yes.
A, is that
Yes, it
only going to
would.
show me customers in site A?
Yes. Yeah. Cyberquery reads top down, left to right. So if the first input parameter up at the top is showing the selection for Lund, LOND, then only customers in LOND are going to be displayed in the following parameters. They're cascading, in other words.
Okay. And then here's another question. If a user doesn't have access to the command line, can they still build the active help reports?
Yeah, and I didn't go to the command line in any of this. I used a macro. And by macro, when you're saying command line, there is tools go to command line, and that's usually shut off for most users. Um, when you're in a macro, there is a CLI command that takes you to command line. And the way you get around that is systems administrators have a setting called CQ secure macro path that they can set to your working directory and maybe some other special folders like web reports or something, or the Launchpad directories.
So if a user just writes a report that they want to make an active help report,
Yes.
can they just save it as query name dash input value dot help
Yeah,
dot HCF?
exactly. Yeah, if you follow that format, oops, I don't want HCFs here. Um, so if you follow that naming convention, um, like like this one here. So notice you put the query name in front, and then name the input parameter. So in this case, it was input underscore customer, and then just follow it with the .help.eq. That is making one manually, and I do that all the time.
Perfect.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
very easy. Mhm.
I think that answers the questions that have been submitted so far, John.
Okay. Well, I will turn it back over to you, Jim. Or did you want me to continue on this
No, no,
this
go
little bit
ahead
of review?
and take us back to the PowerPoints.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So, do you want to go through this slide or do you want me to do that, John?
I'll let you do it here. Let me take
Okay.
it.
Okay. That sounds good. Okay. So, again, three takeaways from building these active help files. Number one, it's real easy to do. I mean, that's what we want everybody to see. So, you're going to create, kind of your main report with those input parameters. And if you do nothing, the system's going to build those standard drop down lists for you where you can go and pick item number, customer number, or whatever. If you want to build a more custom interface, you can create this report again because it's just a query or a report that's going to be, report name dash input value. So like John's example, it was sample dash input cust dot help dot eq. So again, you can get really fancy with those if you want. And then finally, if you want to be able to do that searching where you can search, huge numbers of records or whatever, you add that HCF file. And if you're like me, you cheat and you copy an HCF file from either the Cyberquery library or from one that somebody else has built before, because the file just has that one line that John showed you. Just give it the same name as your report and you're done. So real easy to do. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we want to talk about upcoming sessions. So again, in the survey, you're going to get prompted for what topics you'd like to see us cover next. So again, any one of these. So if you want to see examples of how to build real-time job boards or vendor performance scorecards or actual versus budget reporting, just choose those. And we want you to rank them in that survey. And based upon your input, we're going to schedule what's going to come up here over the next several months. We've also got things in here on charting and data visualization, as well as CQAI. A lot of people really liked what we were showing at Sun regarding CQAI. So again, let us know. If there's other topics you'd like to see, again, add that to the survey or shoot us an email or give us a call. We're here to help. Okay, I think we've covered all the questions. But again, just to kind of wrap up, please complete the survey at the end. If you have any questions, reach out to me. There's my email address. You can go to our website /training. It's going to show you all the training classes. And then finally, if you really want to talk to smart people, go to our support line. You can either connect them, via an email, or you can call them with that number right there. But they love to help. So our guys are very friendly, and they can help you with any of these kind of questions that you might have. So with that, we're going to say thank you. And look forward to seeing you next month in the next episode. So thanks very much.